When you audition for the role, there's other people out there, and were you super stoked and excited about becoming John Carver? And did you think that it would take off this well?
So it's kind of funny the way I got the job. I didn't actually have to audition for it.
Okay.
So I know the stunt coordinator quite well that was on the film. His name's Dan Skeen, great guy. And I didn't know anything about the movie Thanksgiving. I just knew that he was the one doing the stunts on that movie. So I said, sent him a text message and I said, hey, do you need a stunt double for this lead character in the movie? I don't want to throw it out who it is in case anyone hasn't seen it. And he's like, yeah, I actually do. Do you want the job? And I said, yeah, let's do it. Because I've worked with him before, so he knows my skill set already. So that was kind of, my previous work is my audition, essentially. Right. So he gave me the job doing that. I didn't know anything about the movie or if that character in particular was going to be the killer in the movie. So I found that out as I was on the movie already.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so one day they just asked me to dress as John Carver. And I'm like, okay. And then they told me the actor that plays him in the movie isn't going to be there for the scene. And I said, oh, interesting. So you want me to do everything? And they're like, yep. And I said, okay. And so I did that. They really liked what I did. And that was the diner fight with the waitress, Lizzie. And they really loved what I did with that. And so they asked me to keep coming back and do the rest of the movie.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. So now, I know that your background is stunt work.
Yes.
Do you have any advice for some of the people out in the audience and people listening to us? If one day they would like to actually become a stunt person, how hard is it? And what would you actually give them advice if that's something that they wanted to pursue?
Yeah, it's definitely not the easiest job to get into, that's for sure. And but it is possible, and it just takes a lot of perseverance. Number one thing that's important is you have to be athletic in one way or another and just be really good at least one skill. And it's helpful if one of those skills happens to be martial arts or gymnastics or driving. Just one thing to get you in, and then once you're in, you can get your first shot on set, then you can start to hone your other skills and try to become more well-rounded. And then you'll have more of a chance of working more frequently. So,
what would you say? What would you say is the most dangerous stunt that you've pulled off that you look back and go, maybe I shouldn't have done that?
Yeah, on the movie Suicide Squad,
right.
I broke my ankle quite badly on that one. I was Jay Hernandez's stunt double on that, and as El Diablo, and I was on a wire with a harness on, and in the finale of the movie, he gets kicked backwards over a flight of stairs, through a shop window, and into a wall. And then after I went through the shop window, I was supposed to keep going back and hit my back off the wall, which is just a wooden wall. There's no pads or anything. Right. And it didn't happen that way. I ended up going through the windowsill, and my leg swung behind me, and I saw the wall coming up, and then I couldn't swing my leg back in time, and it just got all mangled. And I hit the wall very hard, and it gave me a nice spinal fracture on my left ankle. And I was out for a good 6 months after that. So, yep.
So, there's people out there that are thinking about getting into stunt work. Remember, it does equal pain. And sometimes you get to go on vacation for up to six.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Right. It's kind of a rite of passage as a stunt performer. There's like that one thing that happens, and hopefully you get through it and you persevere and you come back stronger. And luckily, I don't think about it anymore. It doesn't bother me, so I can do everything that I could do before that. So.
Okay. What other projects that you have coming up that you're really excited about? If you could tell us any of them.
There's a new Frankenstein movie coming out that Guillermo del Toro directed that I had quite a bit of work in. Okay. That was pretty cool. I can't say too much about what I did in it, but but they just wrapped up the movie recently. And what else? Season 2 of Twisted Metal I've been working on a little bit as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff.
If you had the chance to actually do any role, and it's pick your litter, which one would it be?
I would honestly just love to come back in Thanksgiving too, personally, and just reprise the role and try and make the fans proud of the character, and continue the fun ride that we're on right now.
Okay, all right. That's beautiful. And growing up, well, which I know you talked about Scream as far as the horror aspect, but stuntmen are a little different. And when you were growing up, what inspired you to want to do stunt work?
I didn't always know that I wanted to do stunts. That was the funny thing. I've always been really involved in extreme sports, and that was kind of my lifestyle. I rollerbladed professionally for quite a while, did lots of flips and grinds at skate parks and that kind of thing, and I did live shows around the world too doing that with the BMX stunt team, and so that kind of got me into like live performing. I was at a skate park one day, and someone from the team happened to be there, and they liked what I was doing. They asked me to, if I was interested in doing some live shows, and I said, sure, let's do it. And then a week later, I was in Saudi Arabia doing shows.
So, when you end up doing stunt work, how many times, if there's something, what was the most times that you actually had to do one scene because you had to repeat it because they were like, we didn't like that angle or something went wrong, and they had to do it over and over?
Yeah, that happens a lot in the Guillermo del Toro movies, actually, because in Frankenstein that we just did, they were shooting with one camera only. So for whatever reason, I don't know why, that was his style for this one, and so certain scenes, it would take quite some time to shoot. So you'd be working on a specific scene like for a week or two. So yeah, and there's different shots, but even some of the shots that we did, it would take hours to get. So several takes.
Now, like in stunt work, sometimes you have to roll vehicles, and sometimes you have to crash them or light them on fire.
Yep.
But have you ever had it to where you try to do something, and then for whatever reason they're like, okay, well, we can't use that now. We didn't like that. We're just going to cut it out.
Generally not on the day. Sometimes I'll do things, and then you'll look for it in the theater or on TV, and then they cut it out at that point. They just don't tell you on the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you get so excited, and you're like, this is going to be it.
It's not there. Or it didn't turn out the way you thought it would.
Right.
Sometimes when we're on set, I'll get the other members of the stunt team to film a stunt with their phone if they're not doing anything in regards to safety. Just because it'll look better sometimes.
Of course.
Especially if no one from the stunt department is in charge of the shot exactly, because we know what looks good, from an action perspective. Sometimes it doesn't translate well.
Okay.
Someone else takes charge of it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Does anybody down here have any questions? How many of you have actually seen the movie, Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
All right. There you go. So, if you haven't seen it, definitely go and watch it. It's a great movie. I think that John Carver is definitely going to become one of the icons later down the line. Now, what I would like to do is, if you have any questions, let me know so that we could go ahead and get you to ask the questions. This is a very rare moment.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I love the movie.
Thank you.
It's going to be an annual event for many people. Every Thanksgiving, horror fans are going to be watching this movie. Were you thinking about that at all, or has there been a point since it came out that it hit you that, this is going to be one of those movies that resurfaces like Halloween does every October and so forth? Yeah,
like I just from speaking to fans and just getting the feedback is it's been amazing. And I started doing conventions in January, and that's when I started meeting everybody, and that's pretty much when I realized it, I guess. And it makes me very excited for the future, and I hope I can do number 2, and I can keep going, and we'll see where it goes and what happens. I'm really excited.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Well, in that case, we're going to let you go back to your booth. Thank you very much. I've learned a lot, and I appreciate you coming out here. And ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to get to know him on another level, because I know sometimes people don't like it when I put them on the spot and say, "Here's a microphone, say it in front of people." Go ahead over to his booth and meet the man in person. Then you can talk a little more without other people. I understand that. It takes a lot to say things in front of a crowd. All right. All right. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
How should I die in the next one? Because that was the carousel scene that I was in that I survived. But I have played killers before, so maybe I can team up with...
That's it. Because it's always one of those things that it literally turns the gears.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh wait, that's the killer?
Yes.
Or they had a part of actually kidnapping the people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always the survivors that are like, yes, I've learned my lesson, and I like the way you are. I'm joining the team.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting, and like I said, I'm available. If I'm an actor, my default line is always, yes, I'm available. Yes, I'm available. So anyone listening? Yeah, but that'd be fun.
What actually got you started in the acting career?
So I started, almost 30 years ago, but I was, professionally 30 years ago, but I was always acting in high school, in drama class, putting on plays and shows and emceeing the events in high school. So I was always a performer. I always wanted to do that. And one day I just got an agent and I said, let me try to audition and see what happens. And I started booking right away. And it was kind of like no turning back after that, except for a long pause when I had my daughter. And I just took a long break to raise her. Did a couple things here and there once in a while, but it was really about 2.5 years ago that I said, okay, my daughter's old enough. I want to come back to this business full time. So here I am, happy to be here, and I love doing these conventions, so it's like so fun. Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
What was one of your favorite sets to work on, and one of your best memories going forward into the field?
Oh gosh, I've been really, really lucky, especially as a woman in this business. I had some really cool roles. I think a lot of it has to do with my bitchy face, my natural bitchy face. I play a lot of really interesting kind of edgy characters, some killers, some murderers, a lot of really cool action roles. So as a woman, it was so fun to actually get these really cool kick-ass roles in my 20s. I did a lot of those. A lot of sci-fi, like Mutant X. I don't know if you have any like old schoolers out here, but Mutant X was a series I did back then. But Thanksgiving was definitely one of my favorite set experiences. All the cast and everyone was amazing. But one of my favorite roles I ever did was a little show that no one saw. It was like a little NBC show for like just one season. It was called Young Blades, where I played a girl who disguised as a guy to be in the Musketeers. So it was a period piece, and I got to horseback ride and sword fight and wear a little goatee. Big eyebrows. All right, and that was like 17 years ago. So that was fun. That was shot in Vancouver, Canada, and that was really just, again, so different, right? I keep saying, it's like, well, I feel like guys get a lot of cool roles, like across the board, and this, I feel like my career has been a little bit like really interesting like that, so I'm very grateful for that.
Okay. I like your energy, and I like it, the way you're talking about things. If there are some young people out there that are thinking about getting into the actual world of acting and movies and everything, and I know it's a really hard industry to get into, but what advice would you give them if they wanted to actually start,
So it's funny, a few years ago I started teaching acting, so I do private coaching and I also teach at an acting school in my city, and I never knew that was one of my callings, but I've fallen absolutely in love with it, and I love being a mentor and a guide to up-and-coming actors and seeing the evolution of, them from little, baby birds in the nest to like then fleeing the nest and being so confident. And I think that whether or not your goal is to become a famous actor or have this as your main career, I think being involved in the arts in any way, which I think a lot of people here are, it's really, really just great for your soul and your self-esteem. So whether or not you make it, and even as actors, when we make it one year, we're not making it the next year. We're making it, so you got to be prepared for that. But I think that you always kind of keep a little part of yourself that's real and true and separate from the business. You see this as a job, it's an honor. I know that it's a bit fleeting, but just enjoy it. Make sure you have fun and you're kind and you surround yourself with good people. And if you're an artist inside, you got to live it because it's never going to go away. So you have to, I feel like, live your authentic self as much as possible. And just go for it. You've got one life, right?
True, very true.
Yeah, one of my tattoos says no dress rehearsal. I mean, this life is not a dress rehearsal. So go for it, just do it. I think that one of the most rewarding experiences we can get on that series called Mutant X was when I came in on season 3. It was already an established show, and I was replacing an actress on that show. It's a different character, but they had kind of killed her off and brought me in. And so that was already tricky. I was like, oh gosh, it's gonna get some hate here. And I wasn't coming in as a nice character either, so I was like, okay, here we go. And I was getting a lot of pushback, a lot of hate mail, you know, all this stuff because of my character and like, how could you, people couldn't separate me and the character. But I remember just staying steady. I knew the arc of my character and where it was going. And so I just like stayed true to that, and I just was like, okay, everyone's gonna understand at one point. And then by the end of the series, everyone loved Lexa and understood where she came from. So it was just a really kind of like not a microcosm, but like a really small example of life in general, is that you are faced against adversity and hate and a really challenging time, but if you just push through with a goal and a true intention, people will come around or you will succeed and stuff. So I don't know, for me, and I loved that character too, and she kicked ass and I got to beat people up all day, so what's not to love, right? But I did love that, loved it.
Okay.
And I had superpowers, so that was fun.
You know,
Those of you who have seen Thanksgiving, the original script, so we originally shot the movie in March and April last year, wrapped it, great, whatever. So in the original script, my character, gets abducted at the parade, and then you only ever see me again as Thanksgiving dinner, tied up on the table, and that. So there was no in between. There was no oven scene. There was no chase scene. There was nothing. It was not written. So the movie's wrapped. Months go by. Eli texts me, "Are you ready for more?" And I went, "More what? What?" And he's like, "Okay, listen." And then just like sent me this longest text. He's like, "This is what I want to do." He's like, "I want to write more scenes for Thanksgiving. I want this chase, and then I want you burning alive in the oven." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm available." Yeah, I'm available. And so he was like, "Let me write it. Me and Jeff will get writing. We'll pitch it to Sony. Stay tuned." I was like, "Okay." And then a few weeks later, he wrote me. He's like, "We're on." He's like, "Okay, filming in August." So me and Alex did those whole scenes like back in August, 2 months before it got released. The whole chase scene, the whole burning in the oven, that was all rewritten, so that was not in the original script. But that was his crazy idea, and he literally said to me, he's like, "I want this to be the best kill of my career." And I went, "Oh, no fucking pressure, thanks, And then I got a beautiful text from him after saying, "You did it, like, that's my favorite kill ever." So it was really nice and full circle, but yeah, that was not in the original script, so I'm super happy about that. Yeah,
that's amazing. There's a lot of times where you watch a movie and you see it and you want more. So the fact that they had it all written out and it was this close to being done, and they were like, "You know what? No, it's not done. And we want more." And to show what happens to your character, Dan, yet if you haven't seen it, I'm not trying to spoil it.
I think I've given all the spoilers already. Sorry.
Yeah, it's really good, and there's not too many people that give the females a chance to fight back as much as you did with that. And then the whole scene, goes up and that everybody knows about. And then after that, it's just like, wow, what am I looking at? What is going on? Why am I seeing this right now? But
yeah. Do you want to know another story?
Of course. That's why we're here.
So I wasn't there on the original when they shot the reveal of me as the turkey, and everyone around the table where everyone was like barfing, throwing up, screaming, terrified. So they had just finished like a 12-hour day. Everyone had their close-ups, everyone had done their whole thing. Wow, what a great day. Thank you, everybody. One of the execs comes down and looks at the prosthetic. That was not the prosthetic of me that you end up seeing in the movie. It was, let's say, a little bit more revealing or risque. Maybe a meat thermometer was somewhere where the sun don't shine. I don't know. So she was like, "No, hell no. You got to reshoot this." So they reshot that entire scene, and then, you know, I think closed my legs up a little bit, but yeah. But again, they had to reshoot that because she was like, that is too much. Yeah.